Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news alert. I know a lot of folks on this Sunday evening are probably ready to turn in for the night and maybe watch a little football, but the world continues to spin, and there is some major news that is coming out right now that is likely going to shock the entire world, Americans especially. The president has revealed this, and I don't think anybody saw it coming. Folks, sit down. I hope that you're ready for the most shocking news that you've probably ever heard reported on this channel or any other channel. You ready for this? Here we go. Folks, I know this is going to bother you, but it has been discovered that cocaine comes to North America from the country of Colombia. Yes, I know. Florida Maquis, you can't be serious. Absolutely. We have the president to thank for filling us in on this huge secret that everybody has owed, this mystery that has plagued Americans for so long. Where does this cocaine come from? It just magically appears, and I didn't buy it. It's in my cereal. It's in my coffee. It's killing Americans every day, and we need somebody to stop this magical cocaine from just floating out of the sky and just... Yes, this is what's being reported right now. The President of the United States has now come out and revealed the source of cocaine in North America is the country of Colombia. I mean, how ungrateful. $350 to $500 million a year we have been sending to the Colombians. What have they been doing with all of this money? And it's not just the country of Colombia. That's far too general. It's this guy. Gustavo Petro is single-handedly, according to the President of the United States, and Lord knows he knows everything, Gustavo Petro, the current president of Colombia, is personally responsible for all of the drug trade in cocaine that's ever occurred in all of North America. Dead serious. Don't think so? We're going to show you that, of course, the only possible logical response to this new information is to invade Venezuela. I mean, if you can't understand that logic, I mean, I don't know, maybe things are too complicated for you, but real quick, God bless all of you who have joined us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. Brand new video over there talking about psychological operations. The most recent one is a doozy. In fact, it would be a great place to start if you've been thinking about signing up and maybe pledging over there. The most recent video that we put up is for every level that's over there, and it's a comprehensive breakdown of the 12 most common tactics and techniques used by psychological operations masters to make you believe something that is true when it's not, or that something is occurring that isn't, or things that you just can't explain are really the fault of those that you would have never thought to even blame. This is why people have problems sleeping at night. Psychological operations. Love to have you over there. And here's the best part. If you go over there, sign up, watch the most recent video. If it's not for you, fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. God bless all of you over there. I know this is a shock, folks. I do. I did not see this coming, this idea that cocaine comes from Colombia. I mean, it was kind of vaguely referred to many, many, many years ago in a TV show. But as we know, all TV shows are fake news. They're all make-believe. They're phony. So, I mean, who could have believed that, the show Miami Vice had any basis in reality, or even the song Smuggler's Blues, which I think said something like, it's propping up the governments in Colombia and Peru. Ask any DA, man. He'll say there's nothing we can do, from the office of the president right down to me and you. Well, let's get into it. What does the president of the United States have to say? Have I overstated the case? Let's zoom in on this. President Gustavo Petro of Colombia is an illegal drug leader, even though he was duly elected, strongly encouraging the massive production of drugs in big and small fields all over Colombia. Man, prior to him, I know that Colombia was the safest place on the planet. There were absolutely no drugs whatsoever, at least not that I heard of. Have you heard of drugs in Colombia prior to Gustavo Petro? It has become the biggest business in Colombia by far. Wow, I'm just shocked reading this. And Petro does nothing to stop it, unlike past presidents. Unlike all the past presidents of Colombia who did not tolerate any drug trade in Colombia whatsoever, despite large-scale payments and subsidies from the USA, even Donald Trump for many, many years, that are nothing more than a long-term ripoff of America that he did nothing about in his first, well, nevertheless, as of today, these payments or any other form of payment or subsidies will no longer be made to Colombia. The purpose of this drug production is the sale of massive amounts of product into the United States, where, of course, then people put it in normal everyday items like food and drink, and it's in the air, and you don't have to buy it. You're just going to stumble over it and be killed by it, causing death, destruction, and havoc. Petro, a low-rated and very unpopular leader with a fresh mouth toward America, better close up these killing fields immediately, or the United States will close them up for him, and it won't be done nicely, blah, 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 President of the United States. How many of you remember 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when this channel was very strangely, in a very deja vu manner, talking about this exact issue with Venezuela? How many of you remember when Venezuela was our ally? The first non-NATO country, as a socialist country, by the way, to get the F-16. Guess who gave it to him? Ronald Reagan. Now, people see this map and they get all distracted by the Israel $3.1 billion per year number. And they don't look down here at Colombia, the primary driver of drugs into America for my entire lifetime and beyond. What they don't look at is the $7 or $8 billion. You see how Israel here is 3.1? They don't look at the combined $7 or $8 billion being given to Islamic terrorists. All these: Afghanistan, Pakistan, Egypt, Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, Rwanda, Mozambique, all these right here. You add up all this number, Nigeria, adds up to about 7 billion. So over twice as much given to Islamic terrorist states than given to Israel. It's another story for another day. But Colombia by far outstripping every other nation other than perhaps Mexico, the other source of drugs into this country. See, America, breaking news alert, America is buying those drugs. America is buying those drugs. They're not just coming here. They're not floating here on the wind. They aren't in candy machines. They're not in school lunches. They're not in your Happy Meal. The people that are buying this crap and ending themselves because of it are just proving Darwin right. Now, here's going to be the net effect. The net effect of what the President of the United States is doing. I know people look at this and go, wait a minute, Florida Maquis, what the hell is this old picture with... There used to be a country in the 1800s referred to as Gran Colombia. And it encompasses what we call now Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Panama, Venezuela, and Guyana, parts of Brazil as well. And it was led by a man named Simón de Bolívar. Simón de Bolívar was the South American George Washington. You see, we threw off the crown of England. At the same time, the Spanish settlers here threw off the crown of Spain. In France, they did it a little differently. They actually literally took the head off of the kings and queens, the beheadings, the French Revolution. All this was happening at the same time. Spain, France, England, all had this brother-on-brother war. And this is a video I did way back, October 11th of 2018, a comprehensive breakdown of the 50-year plan to take down Venezuela 1973 to present. I'll give you the link to this. And you can, if you have the ability and you have the patience, it's a 30-minute video that when you hear the terms FARC, ELN, right-wing paramilitary, left-wing paramilitary, all this division, all this strife, all this problem, Colombia, before the war in Syria, had the largest displaced population of refugees in the world. Over 6 million people were displaced refugees from the ongoing guerrilla conflicts between these paramilitaries. This was all created by the United States to maintain control. We showed this particular chart, the green line in back being the revenue into Venezuela from 1980 all the way up to about 14 or 15. The colored lines being the level of inflation. And when Chavez and Maduro took over, it was historically the time in their history that they had the highest levels of revenue and the lowest levels of inflation. Now this black line, this very steep one, was when the U.S. decided that enough was enough. They couldn't stand the Venezuelans throwing off the IMF. They couldn't stand the Venezuelans getting rid of the international bankers and the UN. And Chavez actually had a plan to unite South America under one flag and throw off the chains of the U.S. dollar. And that's what this attack was about. That's why they had to hire the CIA and the mainstream media to make you believe it was socialism that caused this problem, even though the vast majority of our European allies are all socialists and they're wealthy beyond per capita what anything America knows about. But if Trump's dumb enough to go down to South America with troops, he's going to embarrass this country. People will lose their lives. The man who was in charge of Venezuela specifically was trained at Fort Benning, Georgia. This is Vladimir Padrino. And once again, and the reason he was trained at Fort Benning was because they were our ally. They were our primary ally in the war on drugs against Colombia. But the last time president was in charge, there's a man named Duque in charge of Colombia, and the president of the United States, Donald Trump, at that time, was all about his business and thinking Duque in Colombia was fantastic and great, even though more drugs flowed into America from Colombia during that time, Trump's first administration, than at any other time in history. See these two guys? U.S. military cats that thought they were better than the Venezuelan military. How many of you remember this? Paramilitary group went down there, decided that they were going to show the Venezuelans what's what. Are you starting to see a pattern? Are you starting to see a pattern? This idea of labeling one man. Go look at X, go look at all social media, the CIA and the NSA and the lackeys that control those social media platforms. They are pumping all sorts of nonsense and garbage from the right-wing paramilitaries down there onto there to make you believe that this Gustavo Petro that nobody even heard of last week, the president of Colombia, is now public enemy number one because he's just saying what everybody is thinking. You see, he's an elected leader. Nobody challenged the elections in Colombia. In fact, they used those elections as an example. See, if we had in Venezuela elections like they had in Colombia, then we would, of course, have this and that and the other and American exceptionalism and all this other crap. This man's come out and said, look, if you want to do damage to the cartels, if you want to really stop the trade in this, do what the U.S. did. Do what the U.S. did by repealing prohibition. Make it legal. He's made the allegation that it's not really that much worse than whiskey, and he's right. You see, we tried to ban alcohol in North America, and it was a giant disaster. It was such a disaster, such a problem that they had to repeal it to bring the price of alcohol down so that the thugs got out of the business. It's the exact same model that needs to be applied here. If you're dumb enough to buy street drugs and ingest them, whether it's fentanyl, Colombia, whatever, then it's Darwin confirmed. It's Darwin confirmed. If you're that dumb. These guys aren't the problem. The left-wing leaders of South America are not the problem. In fact, they're a response to the problem. They're a direct response to the problem. How many of you out there still listening to the channel, the ones who specifically said, oh, Florida Maquis, the things you're saying aren't going to age well. And they said that back in 17 and 18 and 19, and here we are. Not only is Nicolas Maduro still in charge of Venezuela, Lula is in charge of Brazil. They shifted to the left. Mexico went way to the left. And now Colombia has gone to the left. And these are all elections that were confirmed to be free and fair. But wait. Breaking news alert. I could have sworn Juan Guaido was president of Venezuela. Didn't Donald Trump tell us that in his last term as president? I distinctly remember, what was it? State of the Union speech, where he honored Juan Guaido, the actual leader of Venezuela. So if he's the actual leader of Venezuela, wouldn't he be responsible? I'm telling you right now, folks, there are going to be fighters flooding in to the north of South America from Brazil, from Ecuador, from Peru. Because even if anything you say is even remotely true about Petro or Maduro, those are South American leaders. South American leaders who were elected. They're not going to have any of this U.S. interference. You want to take out a few boats? Okay. Whatever. Take out the narco submarines? Okay. All that does is drive down the supply and drive up the price. It doesn't change the demand, does it? You want to blow up a few boats? Okay. Fine. Wonderful. You are now decreasing the supply of something that's in demand. Capitalists out there, breaking news alert, can you tell us what happens when you decrease the supply of something where there is still a high demand for it? That's right. You're just going to make drug dealers rich is all you're going to do. And oh, by the way, you can hey grok this or look this up, whatever you want to, screenshot this. Go look up how many MANPADS anti-air systems have been installed in Venezuela since this last event. The Russians and the Chinese have put things in place down there. I think you'd be surprised how far Venezuela has come. And Venezuela and Colombia may have their differences, but they have shared an open border between them for many, many, many years. Petro and Maduro don't agree on everything, but they do know that U.S. interference is wrong. And believe me, if they get the Mexicans and they get the Brazilians on their side, especially the Brazilians, they could open up a can of financial, economic, and sociological pain and heartache on the United States like no other. And I think the Canadians would probably join them just out of spite. A genius he is not. To quote Mitt Romney. The man, I do believe, is in a state of dementia right now. That at one time he was probably smarter and could have seen all the players on this. But if he pulls the trigger on this, it is going to be probably the final nail that takes out empire. It's just not going to work. Too many moving parts. We are too interconnected. And once again, it is about demand. When you don't shut off the demand for something and you decrease the supply of it, what happens? I'll leave it there. Join us Patreon, love to have you. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me, I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.